Hi, this is my second video. I know last time I said I'd be reading journal entries, but I just tried recording myself reading a journal entry and felt like I could just say it better just saying it. So I want to talk about identifying habit patterns, identifying emotional reactions, habits, the way that we react habitually. And I'll use an example. When I first moved into where I live now, which is kind of in the woods, I felt a lot of phobia of mountain lions and bears. I would walk home every day in the dark, and especially on new moon nights, and it's very dark, just really having stomach aches every night because I was just seeing mountain lions jumping out at me and bears attacking me my whole walk home. It was to that extent. I was just terrified. But I recognized, a quiet part of me recognized, I love the woods so much that I'm going to train myself out of this out of love. I just felt this willingness to die because of how much in love I am with the woods, and I want to learn to camp, and I just felt this motivation. A part of me saw that this was conditioning, and it saw that it's just phobia, and I want to learn to discern real fear or real danger from phobia, from fear that's in my own mind. I couldn't tell the difference. And so I started just paying attention to myself, and I noticed I'd be in town and the thought would arise, later I'm gonna have to walk home by myself in the dark, and there might be mountain lions. Or I'd even feel this secondary anxiety, fear of what if I feel anxious about it and I don't want to have a stomach ache. And so I realized at some point that I was practicing phobia. I was practicing being afraid. These habit patterns, you hear the word karma. This is my understanding of karma. Things repeating, practicing over and over, repeating every single day, this fear about walking home in the dark, and creating this whole situation in my head of being attacked. And I was practicing that image, that affirmation of being attacked over and over. And so I recognized this, I'm reacting to my own mind, and I'm planting karmic seeds for myself so that every day it'll bear an easy fruit for me to feel fear. And I learned to recognize, when I was in town, those thoughts would start creeping in. Maybe there'd be an external trigger, the sun is starting to set. And then there'd be a thought mountains this time of day for hunting. And then the thoughts would keep going and spiral. And then it'd be oh my God, I'm going to have to walk home. And then I would feel it and feed it. And I'd be hey, can I have a ride home? So that would affect my behavior. Instead of me walking home, I would believe the fear and I'd act on it. So eventually I just had a lot of conviction. I said, I am clear that this is phobia, and I'm willing to feel this fear and be free of it. And so I learned to recognize when it would arise. I learned to see, there's a thought arising. It's going to lead to the sensation of fear, and I'm going to want to avoid this situation. Okay, I can do this, Okay, it's just phobia. It's just phobia. It's just phobia. I learned to recognize it as phobia. So, learning to recognize an emotion as an emotion. If you're in the middle of a phobic reaction, if you've ever felt this, it's really intense. It feels like your life is being threatened right then, and it's important. And it's easy to believe it. So it is with every emotion, with anger, any emotion, embarrassment, oh my God, like I'm bad at life, all emotions in the moment that they're arising. Depression will make it seem like your whole life you've been a failure, everything is wrong, like you're missing out, you're like, or whatever, in the moment it really feels real. So first of all, learning to identify, an emotion has arisen. Then a willingness to feel it and be with it. And what that took for me was, so I'd be walking home in the dark and I'd be terrified. And and there'd be like moments where I literally was seeing things jumping out at me in the dark. And it took me to say to myself, okay, I'm willing to feel this horrible, wrenching discomfort in my body. I can just feel it, like, okay, it's here. This feels really uncomfortable, but I don't believe it. I'm not going to feed these thoughts. I'm not going to keep thinking about that object outside of me. So first of all, learning to recognize, this is phobia. Second of all, willing to feel the discomfortable sensations in my body without feeding it or resisting it. Feeding it means my attention is on the object out there. My attention is on the object in my thought. So I'm thinking about mountain lions. I'm thinking about, do they like to eat people? I'm thinking about, are there deer around here? My thoughts are on the object that I'm afraid of. Instead, turning it back on myself, on the sensation in the body. Wow, this feels uncomfortable. Wow, my heart's racing. Wow, my stomach hurts. Okay, this is phobia. It's okay. I'm willing to feel this, not believe it, not resist it either. Resist it meaning like, I'm going to get a ride home. I'm going to totally distract myself on the walk home. Maybe I'll make a phone call or blast music. Mountain lions don't like that, No. So I'm willing to, it's phobia, identify it, feel it, keep walking. So habit patterns. So what I was doing, and what I did successfully, was retrain my mind. I saw that the way it worked was that every day I was practicing phobia. Now I'm going to practice a willingness to endure uncomfortable sensations of emotions. I'm going to practice conviction. This is just an emotion. It's just a sensation. I'm not going to feed it, not going to resist it. So I retrained my mind. So I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to talk about karma. In the way that I understand karma, is this: it's training, it's retraining, it's habit patterns, it's cyclical habit patterns. So a situation arises, I have the opportunity to react or respond a certain way. So the situation would arise every night. It's time for me to walk home. Today, am I going to react with terror and fear? Or am I going to accept this? Yesterday I reacted with terror and fear. This is an opportunity now that this situation is arising again. This is an opportunity for me to consciously respond, to consciously choose to use affirmations, to really feel firm in myself. So the concept of karma, things cycling, situations repeating, and emotional reactions repeating. I react with anger. Every time this thing happens, I feel angry. Okay, well, this thing is happening now, and I feel angry, and I felt angry last time it happened. And identify, anger has arisen. Okay, this feels really uncomfortable. I take my attention off the object of my anger. I just feel the sensation, and I look at myself. So what we're doing is, you could call negative karma when we react with these habitual reactions. I react the same way every time the situation arises, and so the situation keeps arising cyclically. I keep reacting the same way cyclically, planting further seeds. Like, have you ever reacted or felt a certain way, and you're like, wait a minute, I've been in this situation before and I've reacted this way before, but it was with someone else. When did I feel this way before? Like, this isn't the first time I felt this. I've practiced this habit. It's just an emotional habit. And so maybe negative karma is those things arising, repeating and repeating. We're not conscious. We're not conscious of them. Conscious meaning just aware. So I just keep reacting. Every time it happens, I react for the rest of my life. I'm not even aware that I'm doing it. Become conscious of it, aware. I react with anger every time this happens. I react with phobia. I'm ready to experience life differently. And so then you can allow the karma to self-liberate, which kind of just means you're aware that it's arising. You're aware that, this is a tendency, a habitual tendency from the past that I'm going to allow to arise and just be aware of and feel it. And then it dissolves on its own. The sensation passes on its own. Or you can generate positive karma, which would be, if I feel angry, perhaps to simulate compassion in myself for the one who I feel angry at. And so that's kind of replacing these heavy emotions with lighter ones, which is good. It's better, but it's best to allow the karma to self-liberate, because when you're practicing positive karma, like compassion, you're still coming from a place of desire and attachment and like investment in the outcome and identifying as the one who is going through life, as opposed to from this more open, curious perspective of like, isn't anger interesting? Look at that. This feels terribly uncomfortable, doesn't it? But it's more like open, and you just allow it to rise and pass. Or you can say like, anger, like I need to be more positive, and so you generate compassion. It's good. And what I'm saying about karma comes from this book, The Tibetan Yogas of Sleep and Dream. Excellent book. Excellent. Offers really excellent perceptions about how the mind works. Totally recommend it. And I'd also recommend watching a video of Goenka he teaches the 10-day Vipassana courses, recordings of him. There's a video he has he's talking about emotions. I forget what it's called, but he's talking about when an emotion arises in the body, to feel the sensation instead of reacting to the object of the emotion, meaning like that person did this to hurt me, instead of feeding thoughts about that person and how wrong they were, and instead of diverting your attention and doing something else to distract yourself, just sitting with the sensation in your body, feeling it. This is my anger. This is my reaction. I can take responsibility for it. I'm willing to feel it. I'm willing to feel uncomfortable, and to learn from it. Yeah. And that's all for now. I love you guys.